Hey everybody, this is Mr. Stallings coming at you again. I was thinking about books that we're reading. Hopefully you're reading your book. You got a book report coming up. And I was reading this book called The American Amusement Park. And it's all about amusement parks in America, which you could probably tell by the title. I'm one of those guys that really would much rather read about other people's experiences than having my own. And so I find it very fascinating to read about the different amusement parks. And it got me to thinking about our language and how language is just so strange. And because there's a whole thing here on roller coasters. You can see there's a picture there of a roller coaster going down. And I'm sure everybody has probably been on a roller coaster at some time in their life. And almost everybody loves the feeling of a roller coaster. I don't like that. I don't like that feeling when you go over the hill and it feels like everything below your chest like comes up into your neck. That's not a pleasurable sensation to me. So roller coasters are not my favorite. I do think there are a lot of thrill seekers out there who just want to rush. And so I think if I had an amusement park, I think I would make my roller coasters that weren't attached to the track, where you have to actually steer the roller coaster around the curves. I think that would add an extra element of danger and excitement, but I personally wouldn't want to ride a roller coaster like that. Now, I was at a Six Flags one time. I don't know if you've ever been to Six Flags. They have literally six flags when you enter the amusement park. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But inside, it's just like a roller coasters and train. It's a lot of roller coasters and trains and things like that. This is a true story. And I have to preface all of my stories with, if they're true, with a true story, because as you know, approximately 70% of my stories are not true, but this one is true. I took my youth group there one time, and the day before we went, they had this roller coaster that was called the Batman roller coaster. And it was one of those where you sit down and the track is actually over your head and your feet are kind of hanging down. And the roller coaster came down was coming down like a slope, and then it's kind of going back up. And there was like a fenced in area under the roller coaster. And there was a guy, a young man, who, when he was on the Batman roller coaster, his hat fell off down below because it went upside down. And so he really wanted that hat. And so he jumped a fence to go get his hat. And this is totally true. You can look this up. When he went inside the fence, the roller coaster came down, did its loop, came down, and the person in the front, I think it was a girl, she kicked the guy in the head, and it knocked his head off of his body because they were going so fast. It basically killed the guy because she hit him in the head. And it makes me, I like hats. Don't get me wrong. I like hats as much as the next guy. Perhaps more so because you lose a lot of heat through your head, and I don't have a lot of, insulation up there. But I don't think that I would go and risk being kicked in the head by someone on a roller coaster just to get a hat. And so I feel very sorry for that young man. It's very sad that you would risk your life for a hat like that. And it's interesting too. It's sad as well for the person who was sitting up in the front of the roller coaster, because she lost her foot. And that would be a horrible way to lose your foot. It'd be an interesting story, if you have like a metal foot and somebody says, "Hey, how did you lose your foot?" Well, funny story. I was on a roller coaster and a guy went to get his hat and I kicked his head off, and it hurt me in the process too. So it's just a very bizarre thing. I'm not trying to make light of it because it's a very sad, strange story that I don't really know the point of at this point, but I'm sure there was one in there somewhere. Anyway, so we were talking about language, and I was thinking about the word roller coaster. A roller coaster, that is a word that has been around for a long, long time, a roller coaster. And it's obviously a coaster that's on rollers because it rolls, the roller coaster rolls. So, if our language made sense, you would think that if you had a roller coaster that didn't have wheels on it, it would be a coaster. What is this? How is this connected to this? I don't understand the relationship between those two things. And which one came first? Like, the ride where people go up and down the hill, or the thing that you put your soda on so you don't leave a ring on the table? And what did someone put wheels on this and go, you know what? Hey, I bet if we were microscopic entities, we could ride on a trip. It's just so strange to me. And it's interesting to think about. And during this quarantine, we obviously have a lot of time to think about these things. So I hope you will think about the origins of words and enjoy your time doing so, won't you? Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip. Stay off the corona, kids. Nugs, not bugs. Bye-bye now.